Good morning and welcome back to Code Red on Enravio.com.
Did you order the Code Red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Hey, welcome back, folks. We are back for another week of fantasy baseball here on Fantasy Baseball Code Red on Enravio.com. We have the whole crew back this week.
Back intact again.
General, how are you?
Good morning, Admiral. Doing very well.
Commish?
Doing good, Admiral?
All good, all good. All right, let's get right into it. Let's start off with a review of the news in Week 13 in Major League Baseball action. We've got A-Rod stirring the pot again.
I mean, this guy, I've never seen a guy ever in my life before who's on the disabled list who can make news on the disabled list. Where he's already had 2 or 3 major news stories while on the disabled list.
Let me tell you.
He's not playing.
This guy is a noose around the Yankees' neck, and it's just getting tighter and tighter. I mean, you know, it got to the point now where he was tweeting his rehab, you know, and kind of trying to give everybody updates, I guess, on what was going on. And Mr. Cashman wasn't happy about it.
Well, I think that when he tweeted that his doctor has cleared him to play rehab games, I think that was the breaking point for Mr. Cashman.
But apparently the Yankees doctor thought differently.
Well, I don't even think it was that. I think what happened was Cashman's quote, when he was quoted, was, I think that A-Rod should shut the F up. And when the Yankees want to announce something, we'll announce it.
Right.
And that's kind of where it went from there. So.
I'll
And
tell
then
you.
he said he was going to call him right after that.
I'm
I would
going
love to have
to
heard
call
that
him right now,
conversation.
yeah.
You know, this may have been one of the worst contracts in recent history. I mean, you know, it's just
He's a cancer for
The-
all the stuff.
the
he-
Yankees would give anything in the world to have this guy retire and have them be able to collect on the insurance and not get, you know, stuck for that huge bag of cash. You know, and it's just one of those situations where it's going to get ugly. This is going to get worse before it gets better.
Well, the only thing that could make it better, it's a long shot, but the only thing that can make it better is if he comes back after the All-Star break and he hits. If he hits, it'll soften the blow. If he goes out and it gives you 12 homers and 45 RBIs
Right.
and does something and keeps his mouth shut and doesn't get suspended from Major League Baseball, it's passable. And you can go from there. But if he comes back and hits 3 homers and is out every other week with some other injury and then stinks and hits 220,
Right.
and then we have the biogenesis stuff on top of it lurking in the background.
That's going to be the key. Because what's
That's
going to
the
happen is he's going to come back. He's going to play for a couple of weeks, and this whole biogenesis thing is going to come.
It's going to heat right back
It's
up
going to
again.
come right back into you know, into the media, and he probably will get suspended, and you know, he becomes a story again.
That's why the Euclid injury is just so important at this point, because they could have basically written off A-Rod if they knew he was healthy, but now
Right,
they got to deal
right.
with him. They have no choice. They
And,
gotta
and
deal
they
with him.
can't hit, and the
Right,
Yankees can't
right.
hit, and they have issues. They have some pitching. You know, they have pitching, and they've got closers, and they've got, you know, relief staff and all that. I tell you what, this team's not making the playoffs.
You know, it's going to
The
be
way
tight.
it looks right now.
It's going to be tight because
making
that
the playoffs.
division, every team is over 500 right now. Toronto's making a move. You know, you've got Baltimore and Boston doing what they're doing, and you know, Tampa Bay is you know, still in it, and you know, it's going to be a rough road for the
I
Yankees.
mean, guys like Lyle Overbay and, you know, Zolio Almonte. And,
Right. Well, that
and
brings
you're-
us to the next story.
You're only going to get so far with these guys.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the next story. Is not only did they lose Euclid, but now Teixeira is going to have surgery on the wrist, so he's going to be out for the rest of the year, and you know, it's time to go with Overbay. So if you're a fantasy baseball player and
He's your man.
you know, Overbay's your man. I mean, you know,
Stop right there. I wouldn't go Overbay crazy if I were out there right now. First of all, more than likely he's been picked up, maybe probably dropped and picked up in a couple
Right,
of different
right.
leagues here and there. But if I had to sit today, right now, make the decision today based on the information that we know about Teixeira, and Overbay was out there, I don't think I'd pick him up. I think I would take a shot with Juan Francisco first from Milwaukee.
Right.
You know, he's hit 4 homers in the last couple of weeks. You know, if
Maybe
anything-
Lomo
if
from
any-
the Marlins.
Listen,
huh?
if anything, he'll probably do as good as Overbay with an upside. There's no upside to Overbay. We know what he is.
we know what he is.
You know, so
but
I would
you
take
know,
a flyer with somebody else first.
here's the deal. He's going to play now. He's going to play against lefties for the most part. You know, if you're still waiting on Ike Davis, you know, Overbay is not such a bad option at this point. So, you know, at least you know he's going to be in there every day. He's going to give you something. But you know, it's a mess over there in the Bronx.
The other problem the Yankees have is they have no, even with the trade deadline coming up, they have nobody to trade to like get like a Giancarlo Stanton. Or
That's the
somebody
problem.
Like that, you
is
know?
they really
Got nothing.
they've burned through all their chips.
Yeah, and the other thing too, which is a side note to all of this, but you talk about payroll and money and all that, but the Yankees, with the WBC insurance policy on Teixeira, coupled with their own insurance on Teixeira, you realize it's not going to cost them anything for Teixeira for the entire year. They wish they had that kind of deal with A-Rod right now.
Yeah.
He's almost making the same money.
And what they're paying Jeter for a half a season, and
Right.
you know, it's it's a bad situation there. It's a bad
It's a
situation
mess.
in a good division. So so anyway, moving on to our next topic, maybe Puig too. We may have another superstar or potential superstar coming out of Cuba. Pitcher Miguel Alfredo Gonzalez, 26-year-old right-hand pitcher who is being extensively scouted by several teams, the Dodgers being among those, may wind up with about $60 million.
Yeah, guys, before you take that wallet out, Major League Baseball, listen to the General. General Damas will now impart his wisdom on you. I would think very, very long and very, very hard about giving this guy that kind of money right now. I read some stuff about this guy. I mean, bone spurs removed from some Mexican doctor somewhere.
Yeah.
Claiming he's feeling great, doing wonderful. Scouts are saying he could pitch in the major leagues
Claiming
today.
he's 26.
Claiming he's 26.
I don't even know if that's his name.
I read somewhere he was born in 1979.
Right.
I have ties older than this guy. I don't know. I'm not getting that warm, fuzzy feeling. If it was a hitter, okay, fine. But with these
Right.
pitchers, I take a step back with that.
Well, here's what's going to happen. He's going to get scouted. He's going to get signed. And he's going to get signed for about 5 years for anywhere between 40 and 60 million. Somebody's going to do it. They say he throws hard, 95. Great off-speed pitches, great curveball. So, listen, you know what? He's probably a guy that's going to be in the major leagues, pretty soon.
Commissioner, do you want this guy in Dodger Town? Be honest.
I don't. I think it's El Duque with a little plastic surgery. Is what I think.
It's El Duque's uncle.
All right. Before we move into our next segment, just want to remind you guys we're taking phone calls, 855-446-7284, or jump in on our chat box, tell us what you're thinking, and let's get into our man crush, fellas.
Oh, my God.
I'm not going to start where you think I'm going to start. Let's just go over the Commish and Manny Machado. Manny, a little bit of a rough week
Yeah,
this week.
he's down, but
A couple of hits last night, or a couple of runs batted in. But
another double, 37 league leading. So he's still plugging along there. A little
Right.
down spurt, but I think we're coming back.
right, and then Yasiel Puig, another big week, 370.
Yeah, nah, he just continues to roll right along. I mean, I watched the game last night. He almost threw a guy out at the plate, threw a laser beam from right field. Listen, it's not all about just the hitting. This guy can do everything on the
He
baseball
is.
field. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he
It's,
can.
he is a force when he catches a ball. He's a force when he runs a base. I mean, he's made some boneheaded base running moves. I will say that. We've seen a couple now.
He's keeping him awake out there.
He's keeping everyone awake.
You can live with that, though. Out of
I
a
can live
rookie.
with that. One of them was real stupid, but
You can live with that.
I'd
I'd rather him be aggressive and make a bonehead move than be tentative.
He had clutch hit too the night before. He drove in 2 runs with
Yeah.
a single, with 2 strikes on him, no less. So
No, I think that he's definitely a major, major force right now, driving that team. I mean, yesterday was a disaster for them. What they got blown out.
shellacked. It was
Blown out.
14 or 16 nothing.
That wasn't good, but he's a big bright spot. He had won 6 in a row before that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so-
And even Kemp has been hitting a little better since
Yeah,
he came back
yeah.
with Puig and line.
And Crawford's supposed to be coming back
Yeah,
next
so-
week,
And Hanley's
Hanley's
hitting.
hitting.
Hanley's hitting, so
now
it's-
Yeah.
all of a sudden this
Injected some
team
life.
taking on a different look. So
Yeah. All right, so you're going to keep the Puig picture up, the wedding picture down.
the wedding picture has been put away. The big picture is up.
You got the sunglasses handy.
Sunglasses are ready at all
right.
times. We're Puig watching all night long now. In the middle of the night, my wife's
All right.
like, "What is this? What are we watching?" Oh, we got to see what Puig did in his last at bat.
All right, so let's move into my man crush. And before we get into the big news, another great week for this guy.
And a tough one last night.
And a tough one last night. I mean, I think he had a perfect game through 6, was it? Wound up striking out 11 through 7, gave up a run, I think on 1 hit. And then the Mets bullpen imploded and he wound up getting another no decision because the Mets lost. But, another great week. In 2 starts, 1-0.
Double-digit Ks again last night.
Double-digit Ks, 11 Ks last night. 0.69 ERA on the week in his 2 starts. 0.46 WHIP. 17 strikeouts, 13 innings pitched.
argue with that.
It's
You know,
phenomenal.
He's 7-1. You know, could easily be 10-1, 11-1. I mean, you know, the guy's just got so many no decisions this year. But the big news. And I got to tell you, this whole man crush thing is getting a little uncomfortable here with this.
It's
but-
going to get a lot uncomfortable.
It's
about to, it's about to get very uncomfortable.
I got to tell you, I don't even want to report this, but apparently
It's your job.
Mr. Harvey is posing nude or posed nude
Control yourself now.
for the ESPN magazine body issue. And
This is fabulous. ESPN, I'm sure you have a new subscriber this morning.
well, you know,
Multiple copies, Admiral?
listen, I'm not going
Throughout the house.
I'm not going near that. I'm not going
The
near
Admiral's
that.
waiting pictures going
Listen,
down.
you know what? When you have, you know, a hero, I mean, this guy, I can't have that image in my head when I watch
Oh,
this
you're
guy
going to
pitch.
have that image. It's coming. But wait a second, Admiral, do you know who is posing in that same issue with him?
I do not.
You don't know.
Is it Anna V?
Let me give
Is it,
you.
wait, is it Anna?
It's not Anna V. But it's a 77-year-old golfer named Gary Player. Gary Player had a lot of.
I can make a joke about balls right now, but I'm not.
You're going to see Gary Player in the nude, along with your man crush man Matt Harvey.
I wonder if he's got dimples on his balls.
They will be joined by Giancarlo Stanton, another one of your favorites.
Really?
Yes, indeed.
I didn't know that.
And also a volleyball player named Kerry Walsh Jennings. Let's see who else is here in this. Oh, and look at this. The tattoo man himself from out in San Francisco, 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick. So I want to see Kaepernick. I want to see Giancarlo Stanton, and I want to see Matt Harvey. Nude
Tell
pictures
you,
throughout your
I am
home.
not going anywhere near that issue. I can't watch this guy pitch with that image burned into my brain. My God.
With nothing but a towel wrapped around him, I'm sure.
Towel.
It'll
I'm
be like
not,
the
I'm not
scene
even
from
sure he's
Bull
going to
Durham when he's out there with the garter belt pitching his jockstrap.
All righty, let's move right on to who's hot. Oh, man.
Like, there's a joke there, but I don't want to
I'm
say
not
it.
going there either. All right, let's get into it. Michael Kadire, 480 this week, 4 homers, 7 runs batted in, threw in a steal. You know, the interesting thing about him is really having a good season kind of under the radar. I didn't realize he was having such a good season. 351, 13 home runs, 45 runs batted in, 6 steals, you know, at the break.
I think he's riding a hitting streak.
He
too.
extended it.
Yeah.
He extended it last night.
Franchise record, 25 games.
Yes.
Yep.
Incredible, and
Joe D, watch out.
yeah, well, that one's not coming down, but fantastic. He found
Yeah.
the right place right now. If he stays
Yeah.
healthy, he's a force.
He is. And Raul Ibanez, 333 this week, 4 home runs, 7 runs batted in. Yes, he's not giving you an average, but he does have 18 home runs on the
I
season.
mean, is this guy going to hit 40 home runs at 40 years old? I mean, that's where
He's
he's
on
headed.
pace.
Yeah.
He's on
But the
pace.
Yankees are kind of wishing they still had him at
You
this
want to know
point,
something?
Yeah.
I do wish we still had him.
And we discussed this guy a little bit a minute ago, but Hanley Ramirez,
Finally looking like the Hanley Ramirez we would expect when
Yeah.
on draft day, you know?
you know what? He's 30 years old. I thought he was kind of heading down, you know, that
Yeah.
path, but hit 381 this week, 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in, stole a base.
Definitely. You know, he's doing great.
Yeah, I can't argue. I'm loving the fact that the Dodgers finally got a lineup that's starting to hit.
Yeah. And then a guy we talked about last week, Commish, Jason Kipnis.
Yeah, I love this guy. I mean, I think he's becoming one of the elite players in the game. He gives
He
you
is.
everything.
He is. I mean, this week, excuse me, before last night's game, hit 500, 2 home runs, 10 runs batted in, stole a base, then went out last night and got on base 5 times out of 6 at bats.
Every time I see that guy's name, I think of you two guys. We were talking about this guy back a month ago or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
where he was struggling, and he's just been on fire. And
Yeah.
He's doing great.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'd really like to see him play in the All-Star game.
You should.
One Yankee who's hitting.
Yeah, but he's not even really hit. I mean, Suzuki, he's hitting a little bit.
Listen,
but it's-
346 this week, 2 home runs.
2 big home runs.
big home
right?
runs.
Right.
yeah, I'll take anything.
4
I can
runs
get.
batted in, 3 stolen bases.
He's just such a tough fantasy guy right now. It's just like, you know, he's a plug-in guy. He's not really a starter for you.
Listen, he's not the guy that he used to be, but,
You know,
I'll take that week. And then the Mets made a bold move this week. Bold move. They traded, who did they trade?
Colin Cowgill.
Was it
Oh
Cowgill
no,
or
actually,
was it
they traded him to
McHugh?
the Angels, and they traded
Colin McHugh
to was
to
it
Colorado
for
to get Eric Young Jr.
Eric Young Jr. EY Jr.
EY. I tell you, man, as a Mets fan, they want me to be excited about this.
Listen, I think it's a good trade. I don't think
You know
Colin
what?
McHugh was going to do a thing for
No,
you, and
it's not
you're getting immediate returns right now.
It's not a bad trade.
Out of this guy who's never played a full season in the majors. He's got
Right.
speed to burn. He's hitting.
Yeah.
He's from the area. I think he was born in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Let it
well,
go.
listen,
Let
you
it
know
play
what?
out.
First week with the Mets, 462, 6 runs batted in, 1 stolen base, but he kind of energized the team a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's not a long-term solution. He's a guy that I could probably see the Mets cutting ties with after the season, but you know what? He's having a good week.
Still a young player.
Still a young guy. Still a young guy. And then Matt Garza fulfilling the Admiral's promise.
You
He
spoke
really
about it
has.
last week.
I mean, he's only had one. I looked at it this morning. He's only had one bad start. If you
One
take that
really bad
start
start.
out of
Yeah.
the equation
Yeah.
and look at his numbers without that bad start, it's fantastic.
Well, listen, this week 2-0, 120 ERA, 1.00 WHIP, 18 strikeouts, 15 innings. You know, he's going 6-7 innings a start.
He is, and that's the key. I mean, he went 5, I think, once or twice in the early goings when he first came back, but after that, he's been going to 7 or 8. Went 8 in one of the games.
Yeah. And then a sell high possible candidate, Patrick Corbin.
I have a lot to say about this guy.
Listen, great week. No decisions on the week, but in 2 starts, 1.8 ERA, 0.93 WHIP. What do you got, General?
The thing with Corbin right now, he's had 5 cracks. It has nothing to do with his pitching. Pitching is phenomenal. He's had no bad starts, I don't think. Or maybe he had one quasi-bad start the entire season. He had 16 starts. But here's the thing with Corbin that I think should be at least heightened alert for the Corbin owners out there. And this is reality. This is not, nonsense. Corbin has never pitched more than 160 innings in a season in his entire pro career. He's only 23 years old.
Right.
Listen, simple math. He's had 16 starts. He's pitched 110 innings. If he continues to do what a normal pitcher would do in the major leagues at 32 starts, that comes out at the rate he's at, 224 innings pitched. That's not happening. That is not happening with Corbin. I can guarantee you that's not going to happen.
The other thing is if you look deeper into the statistics and you look at things like batting average on balls put in play, strikeout ratios and things like that, they all point toward him not being able to sustain the pace that he's on. I mean, listen, I would consider selling high on this guy right now, especially in a non-keeper league. I could see him having a decent second half. 3.5 ERA.
Well, I think the thing you got to also look at is, especially with a lot of these young guys, the first time through the league, right? They
Right.
could be lights
Right.
out, but Major Leagues is about adjustments, and Major League hitters
Right.
look at the second time around, the adjustments get made, and I think you expect, like you're saying, a little bit of downside.
Well, I just if he pitches, even if he continues pitching exactly the way he's pitching right now, 7 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Let's continue on with that methodology. Come August, he's going to be at 190 innings pitched.
Right.
Now, I'm telling you right now, they are not going to run this guy out there. First of all, if the D-backs are out of it, he's not pitching in September. So if you're counting on this guy for a playoff run, he won't be there, number one.
Right,
Number two, if they are in it, they may have to start doing something today and spread those starts out and start taking off some weeks because he's not going to throw 225 innings. You're never going to do that to
See,
him.
the thing about him, I totally agree with what you're saying about adjustments. He's not a guy like Matt Harvey who is overpowering.
Right.
So it's harder for hitters to make an adjustment on a guy like Harvey. Corbin is more of a finesse guy. So it's easier to make adjustments on a guy like that because he's not going to just overpower you.
Right. To your point, it's hard to adjust to a 98, 100 mile an hour fastball.
Exactly.
You can't hit what you can't see.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. All right, your man, Scotty Kazmir.
Oh, so this has just been the Kazmir roller coaster for me.
Cashmere, Georgie. Cashmere, Georgie.
I get 1 good start, I get 2 disastrous starts with him. So I'm going to ask you guys, do I plug him in this weekend?
I say yes. He's
Who's he
on a
pitching
roll.
against?
I don't know who he's got this weekend. I would have to go look.
Listen, he had
But-
2. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that later in the show. But last week, 1-0, 2 starts, 0.64 ERA, 0.50 WHIP, striking out a reasonable amount of guys, throwing pretty hard. I say you roll with him.
I mean, at the very least, just simple stuff. Like I wouldn't pitch him against the Cardinals. He's not interleaguing it right now anyway, probably. I'd pitch him against the Mariners for sure, Houston for sure. You know what I mean? You can pick your spots with the
Right,
guy. You don't have to
right.
plug him in against every team that's hot either.
If you're in a daily league.
Right.
If you're in a daily league. Steven Strasburg, starting to turn it around a little bit. Not that he's pitched badly this year, but this week 1-0, 1.93 ERA, 0.93 WHIP.
Yeah, definitely a lot better than what we've been seeing out of Mr.
Better.
Strasburg the past couple of months.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we've got a bunch of closers, too, that had really pretty good weeks. Kenley Jansen, 4 saves. Joe Nathan, 4 saves. Vinny Pistano actually got a save last night and has 4 this week. Cishek, 3 saves this week. Bobby Parnell, before his his problem last night, has 3 saves on the week. So you've got a lot of closers this week that had big weeks.
I could use one of those.
I could use 3 of those.
Dodgers
closers.
should have had Jansen as closer right from the start of the season.
Yeah.
The Dodgers screwed that situation
I don't know
up.
what
They had
they're
no one to
thinking.
blame but themselves with that.
Well, listen, Jansen's been unhittable. I mean, 0 ERA this week, 9 strikeouts in 5 innings pitched.
He's
Same
filthy,
thing
yeah.
for Nathan. No runs. You've got some guys that are really starting to really turn it on.
Something to watch too on the closer front, especially if Nathan gets injured, is Joakim Soria is actually throwing again in rehab. He just had
Yeah.
another perfect outing last night.
Yeah.
So if he gets hurt,
He's going to probably he's going to probably wind up coming back with the Rangers as a setup man.
No, but that's what I'm
He's
saying.
talking about injury or trade.
Oh,
right,
okay,
right. So if
okay.
he does get injured or
Yes.
ends up getting traded,
Well, then you've
he might
got
be a man,
Marmol, who was just designated for assignment.
Listen, I don't want to hear Carlos Marmol's name anymore. I am done with Marmol. He's marmalade. He's marshmallow.
And Valverde also.
Yes.
Who's a guy that accepted an assignment.
He could
to,
resurrect himself.
He could resurrect himself, probably in a trade.
We were talking about this a little bit last week. Is they've tried just about everybody in that spot now. It's
I
like,
saw you mentioned Drew Smiley.
yeah,
It's going to be Papelbon before you know it, but
But don't you think the Red Sox would probably want to give him a look first? With the disaster they're having and
Yeah.
having him
Yeah.
in there.
How much money are you going to invest in your closer
Yeah.
department? I mean, they're already
That's
in
the thing.
up to their elbows in closer money. I mean, it's not a good formula.
yeah. All right, listen, let's take a break, and we'll come back with who's not hot right after the break.
Matt Harvey's not hot, is he? Are you going to answer that
Well,
question?
yeah, well, he's very hot.
Not hot. Not hot this week.
Hanging with the cool kids at Enravio.com.
Termite Marine Contracting offers all stages of dock building, including brand new docks, repairs on existing docks, pole setting, dredging, and decking. Termite Marine Contracting covers the south shore of Long Island from Massapequa to West Islip. With more than 25 years experience, full crews, and the right equipment for any job. Got a job you want done right? Call Termite Marine Contracting at 516-449-4567. That's 516-449-4567. Or follow us on Facebook. Termite Marine Contracting. When you want it built right.
Rick Springfield will be rocking the Paramount Theater in Huntington, Long Island, Saturday, July 13th, promoting his latest, Songs for the End of the World. And Enravio.com wants you to be our guest at the show. Listen to the Summers Retro Cafe with me, Wendy, Saturdays 12:30 to 2:30, and email me for a chance to win. At Summers, SUMMERS Retro Cafe at Enravio.com. Enter on our website contest page or tweet me at #Summers Retro Cafe. Tell me why you're such a big Rick fan and why you should win those tickets. Thursday, July 11th, and check out ParamountNY.com for the hottest shows this summer. Good luck, and thanks for watching and listening to Enravio.com.
Glitz and Glam Boutique. Book your little princess's party today. Glamorous birthday parties. Girls' Day out packages. Hair accessories and jewelry. 5A Canal Street, Center Riches, Long Island, New York. Phone 631-909-7428.
Hey guys, guys, it's Christine from Backwater. Tune in every Saturday night from 7 to 9 for music history, musicians' birthday blocks, trivia time, and the best alternative music around. Saturdays at 7, only on radio.com, broadcasting to the world.
Rich's Bay Realty, celebrating 50 years. If you're selling or listing your home, land, or business, call Moriches Bay Realty of Moriches, Long Island, New York. Contact Jerry at 631-878-0003 or go to MorichesBayRealty.com for more info.
InRavio.com.
Hey, dude, it's me again. You know, Village Music Shop in Mastic. Anyway, you all know my dog, Mr. Big. Yeah. Well, Dudes and Dudettes Village Music Shop has been in business for over 37 years, serving musicians with the best products and service around. Oh, they have private lessons on all instruments and in all styles of music in their new state-of-the-art digital teaching studios with the excellent sales and service of guitars, drums, school band instruments, amps, PAs, as well as sheet music, books, and accessories. Basically, dudes, everything musical, right, Big? Yeah. Chill out. Village Music has rentals on all instruments, even PA systems for your parties and barbecues. Oh, cool. Dudes, Village Music Shop never has a sale on stuff because every day our prices are lower than all the competition. Stores, internet, whatever, guaranteed. Yeah. So come to Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic, phone 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Anyway.
Hey, we're back on Code Red on InRavio.com. Want to remind you guys we're taking phone calls. 855-446-7284 is the number. And we're going to get into Who's Not Hot, sponsored by the Village Music Shop of Mastic. Drop in lessons and instruments. They do a great job. Then your place to go. So who's not this week, fellas?
Well, Todd Frazier's not. I can tell you
Not
that.
hot.
He's having great difficulties. One for his last 15. You know, that gravy train is coming to a rapid end.
You know, he's been a disappointment all year. Yeah. He's been, you know, he had a good season last year. Thought he was going to take a little bit of a step up and, you know, kind of bring it to the next level a little bit, and really hasn't. In fact, he's really having a pretty crappy year.
He was a fantasy darling last year.
Yeah. Now, you know, he's eligible at several different positions. He's eligible at first, third, and the outfield as well. So he could be a very valuable guy if he started hitting. But and then we have Mark Trumbo, 1 for 22. You know, a guy that's 27 years old, having a great year, really hitting for power, pretty decent average.
I think he's a victim of that anemic, what was once expected to be a high-powered offense over there. I mean, Trout seems to be, I mean, even Pujols and Hamilton have been non-existent.
Hamilton's been a non-factor. Pujols...
Hamilton's coming around a little bit.
But he's been a non-factor all year. And Pujols, 4 for his last 26.
Yeah.
You know, Trout's the only guy hitting in that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That lineup right now is a mess.
I'm still amazed by it. You would think now, at least, I mean, we're into June, that somebody would start to be picking up over there, especially with, you got Trout hitting in the front there. He's on base a ton.
Yeah.
These guys just, and Pujols, I just, for the life of me, I mean, fantastic hitter out of the gate, and now look at him.
You know, I think he's still having problems with his foot, I think it is, or knee, but he's not right.
Yeah, I always hope it's something that explains it, because you don't just go from being like...
He's got the plantar fasciitis.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one of those.
I was going to try to say that, but I didn't want to.
Evan Longoria just
I didn't
came
want
down
to
with that
blow
last
the
night.
pronunciation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you watch him when he hits the home run or a double, he's limping around the bases.
Yeah, there's something wrong. There's something wrong.
Hurts the run.
Yeah, and then Freddie Freeman, 2 for 18, cooling off a little bit.
Is he ever going to hit again, like consistently, or is this what we got now? Is it the new normal for him?
He's another guy that we kind of expected to take a step up this year, and really hasn't. No. And Carlos Santana, 3 for 22.
He hasn't been the same since he stopped playing the guitar.
Yes. Or maybe he's playing too much guitar. I don't know. Jose Bautista, 3 for 25 this week.
Joey Bats.
Joey Bats. I think he's going to get better, especially now with Reyes in the lineup. Right. He's hitting second behind Reyes, which means he's going to see more fastballs with Reyes if he's on base, and you know what he can do with a fastball. So.
Right. A couple of pitchers still really having a rough time this year. Tim Lincecum.
Lights out, Lincecum.
I think we
Lights
talk
out.
about him every week. He's on this list.
0-1 this week in 2 starts, 5.11 ERA. You know, the Niners, the Giants are going to have to do something with this guy. You know, unless they're going to throw him back in the bullpen for the playoffs, or if they make the playoffs.
Listen, the Giants got very, very lucky with him. You want to know how they got so lucky?
That he's in the last year of his contract.
He's only signed a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could have been a disaster for them. They could have another Barry Zito on their hands.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's true.
not such a bad thing that he's pitching so badly.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it just be that way.
And then Cole Hamels, a guy that just signed a big contract.
Yeah, you got when you draft, you got to say, am I going to get the odd year Cole Hamels or the even year Cole Hamels?
I have to say, I'm baffled with this guy because this week 0-1, ERA of 6.
I mean, it's literally feast or famine depending on the year with
It's
him.
been famine all year,
yeah,
though. It's been famine all year. He can't seem to get it together. He just can't seem to get it together.
Been disastrous.
It really has. I mean, you wonder when he's going to turn it around. And I figured he was off to a slow start, and maybe dead arm, but
you're right.
It's been persistent. It's been chronic,
and the years when he's good, he's phenomenally good, right? He's
Right.
like one of the elite pitchers of the league, and then when he's bad, he's horrendous, like we're seeing this year.
It
makes no sense.
It makes no sense, but it's also got to be a little scary for Ruben Amaro after having just signed this guy to a long-term contract. You're kind of wondering, like, what do we do here?
Right.
So anyway, so let's move on. Let's get into our waiver wire segment. It's pretty slim this week. We say that every week, but I think this week it's really slim. I was going to throw out Trevor Bauer until he went out and got hammered last night. And I had him active in one of my leagues, and he just got hammered. He was going to make a couple of starts coming up this week. Here's a guy that just can't get it together.
No, this control issues with him, and and he just can't seem to get that under control.
I think that Commander Bobcat called it early on in the year. A guy in our league, Bauer is just he's Bow Wow. He's a dog. I mean, he just cannot get it together. Enough consistency at the major league level to be thought of as a guy you can rely on.
I think it's up here with him. I think it's up here. I think the guy, was cocky, and when you're in AAA and you're blowing people away, that's one thing, And I think his head got a little too big, and then he got to the major leagues and realized, hey, this is not going to be that easy, and I think it's in his head. I think this guy has a lot of growing up to do.
I agree.
He couldn't make it out of the first inning yesterday. Terry Francona took the ball from him. And see, the other thing, too, is what's a new trend I'm noticing in Major League Baseball with these pitchers is that all of a sudden we're seeing a start, send them back to the minors. Bring them up 3 weeks later, a start, send them back to the minors. Bring them back 2 weeks later, a start. This is not just with Trevor Bauer.
Oh, it's Waka.
We're seeing this with a lot of guys.
Even they did it with
Gausman,
Wheeler.
right?
They did it with Wheeler. He came up, he made a start, they sent him back down for a week, brought him back up. It's about service time, I think, isn't it?
I don't think so, because once you get past, I mean, I don't know how it accumulates, if you're on the roster the whole year, if it accumulates or not.
I think they count it by actual days on the major league roster.
There's got to be a reason for it. It doesn't make any sense,
I think it's an issue with service time.
Maybe there's something there. Maybe the consistency of being in the same lineup every day is different than when you're up and down, you're back and forth. You don't feel that security level, like, hey, I'm good enough to be here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then Koji Uehara.
The flavor of the month.
I think I was there for dinner not too long ago.
Yeah, listen, I blew that call. I thought it was going to be the other guy, and I wound up picking up the other guy, Uniki. But Uehara seems to be the guy they're going with right now until they make a trade, or unless he proves that he can handle the job.
Yeah, I tell you what, with this closer situation right now, I would probably just the trading deadline is what, July 31st?
Yeah,
I would probably,
non-waiver trading deadline.
I would probably wait till July 31st before I figure out who's where and what's what. Because at this point, you're just shuffling guys back and forth on your roster.
Yeah. And then the last one I have for a potential waiver wire pickup this week is, dare I say, Ike Davis.
Never know.
You know what? He was a PCL Player of the Week a week or two ago. The numbers that he's putting up are very good. The Mets were going to bring him up this week, decided not to because they're going to face a string of lefties. But he's going to be up probably next week. So did he fix it?
Fresh start.
Did he not fix it?
I would say fresh start. take a flyer. If he's available in your league, someone dropped him.
Right.
Listen, if you're going to, I tell you what, if you had a choice of picking up Lyle Overbay or him, I would go with Ike Davis.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
Yeah, no
there's
question.
your thought process.
Much more high,
Upside,
upside
right?
there, yeah. All right, let's move into, we talked a little bit about trades, but I think we're going to start seeing some stuff happen sooner than later. It's going to take one trade to blow the roof off this thing, and then you're going to see a bevy of trades. But word is out that the Marlins are looking to make some moves. No shock there. Ricky Nolasco, I think, is going to be the first one to go. He's pitching pretty well. There are going to be teams like the Giants that need an arm, so I can definitely see him getting moved. Stanton, does Stanton get moved at the deadline?
I think it does happen, just because, given the history with the Marlins management down there and how they just dismantle teams.
Right.
At this point, why not and try and restock the farm system down there?
It doesn't make sense to keep Stanton at this point because you've gotten rid of every other player. Your attendance is not going to get any worse than it already is. You're not going to be able, I don't know what his deal is currently. You're not going to be able to sign him in the future.
He signed for a couple of years, and there are going to be a lot of teams that are going to be interested in this guy. The Rangers, the Red Sox, the Cardinals, the Mets.
But
the
you
problem
gotta have the talent, right? You gotta have to give up.
Well, if you're gonna deal a Jurickson Profar, you're gonna get him. If you're gonna deal a Michael Wacha, a Zach Wheeler, you're gonna get him. If you're not,
Right.
he's not gonna come cheap. He's not gonna come
Which,
cheap.
by the way, that is a legitimate deal. I mean, if they're going to give up someone of that quality, a pitcher, whether it be Tony Cingrani or whether it be Zach Wheeler, you're getting a 24, 23-year-old slugger.
Yeah.
Granted, some injury issues, but still a slugger nonetheless. It's hard to come by. Guys like him that hit the ball the way he does, not that easy to come across. So I would make that trade if I was in need and had a shot.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, in certain situations, I would do it. If I'm the Mets, I probably wouldn't do that deal. If I'm the Cardinals, I might do that. I might trade Wacha. If I'm the Rangers, I probably would trade.
I'll throw another one out there that we did last week is Tampa Bay. They've got a wealth of arms in their farm system.
They're probably the best fit because they've got so many young pitchers and they don't
And
know what to do with these
have a
guys.
good first baseman.
And they don't know what to do with these guys.
Yeah,
They have all these pitchers. They don't know what, they're not bringing them up. So why not? It's a perfect fit, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. I think he will be one of the guys that winds up getting moved. And then we also have some other possible trade candidates. The Brewers, I think, are going to be cleaning house. Ramirez is a guy they'd love to get rid of. Axford, a guy they'd love to get rid of. K-Rod, probably a guy they trade. I also hear they're willing to take offers on Giovanni Gallardo. He's a guy that would probably, command a pretty big return, I would think.
He's inconsistent. That's the only thing with him. But you know what? He would bolster the back end of one of those good rotations.
He could be one of those lightning in a bottle guys where, he comes over and just pitches lights out.
Right.
Second half of the year. Papelbon, we've talked about him a little bit. I think he's going to get moved. I mean, as much as Amaro says it's not going to happen, I think it's going to happen. Even Cliff Lee, I can see getting
again.
moved.
Mr. Lee, what are we doing here? How many times is this guy going to get traded? He's a good pitcher. Good pitchers like that should not be traded as often as this guy has.
Yeah, he's a little bit older, but you're right.
I think there might be mutiny in Philadelphia if they let him go at this point.
I don't know.
Listen, they can't call it a year yet. They can't call it a season yet.
It's too soon. It's too
a
soon.
little bit longer.
Yeah, it's too soon. All right, let's move on down to the farm, fellas. I'm going to let you take your
Georgie?
George Springer segment here.
Well, the Astros have decided in their infinite wisdom that they're going to take their best hitting outfielder, their best prospect, and they're going to bring him to AAA. We're going to take another step before we get to the majors. Meanwhile, I could stick this guy in right field for the Yankees right now and be very, very happy. But, okay, the Astros have a different plan. He homered last night, first AAA homer. He just got there. I don't know. I mean, I would have thought we'd have seen this guy by now.
He's got 19 homers on the year. The problem with him, I think, is that pretty high strikeout rate. He's got 96 strikeouts and 284 at-bats. I think the Astros they're not going anywhere. There's no need to rush this guy up. I totally understand what you're saying, but I think they want to make sure that he feels comfortable handling, the next level before they rush him up to the majors. And, potentially have a setback with this guy.
I don't think it's a rush. I think when you're 23, 24, and that's where we're at with Springer, right? I think at that stage of the game, he's played serious college baseball. He's been through the minor league system for a couple of years. He's played well at every level. And as far as rushing him, yeah, the Houston Astros are never going anywhere. But the idea would be that, you know, you get a player that maybe the fans might want to see that can actually help you. He's got 23 stolen bases. He's never been overmatched at any level. And as far as the strikeouts go, that is the new normal in baseball now. It's no longer, you know, guys like Joe DiMaggio. Joe DiMaggio only struck out, I think, like some ridiculously low number for his career, like 200 times or something like that. Hit like 360 homers, only struck out 200 times. Guys are doing that in a single season now. So I'm not too scared with the strikeouts. This guy should be up.
Many guys are doing that.
This guy should be up. That's the way I look at it. Curtis Granderson strikes out left and right. If you hit 40 homers and driving 100 runs, nobody cares. You know?
Even if it's just for a little bit. I mean, you know, let him get a taste and see what it's like.
He will be up
Let's
this
see.
year. It's just a matter of when. I think they're going to probably wait, you know, at least a month or so, give him a month down at AAA. Oscar Taveras, you know, I don't see him coming up anytime soon unless Beltran goes down or, you know, we've got an injury there.
They've been taking their sweet time with him. And he's been hurt a little bit this season, too, in the minors. So I guess
no
they're
need to
not
rush
taking
him,
any
though.
chances, right?
You know, they've got a solid outfield in St. Louis, so no need to rush him. Will Middlebrooks got sent down to Pawtucket.
All right, that one is an interesting one, only because they now had Stephen Drew go down last night again. This guy's never healthy. They've moved Iglesias, not Julio Iglesias. But, Jose Iglesias. He doesn't sing in his spare time. They moved Iglesias to third base. He's on fire. Probably won't last. But they have Xander Bogaerts. The all-star 20-year-old hitting shortstop down in the minors. Who right now, I mean, he had 20 homers, 80 RBIs last year between A and AA. He was promoted to AAA recently. He's got 4 homers in his first 50 at-bats. He's hit over 300 at every level. You know what? He's 20 years old. You want to take a shot with him right now?
In a pennant race? They need him. I know, but you're in a pennant race. That's your problem.
Stephen Drew can't help you with his bad legs. Every time he goes out there, he gets hurt. You got to have a guy that can stay on the field that can hit.
You know, maybe he's the spark like Puig for the Red Sox.
You know what? That's why I bring it up.
That's
why I bring it up. You know, when these things happen and injuries begin to mount up, he goes, listen, Iglesias is not. He's hot right now. But are we saying Iglesias is a 30 homer, 100 RBI guy in the corner? I don't think so. You got to do something there with those guys. You know.
Michael Waka. Waka. They set him down. The interesting thing with him is they're going to have him skip a couple of starts at AAA Memphis. They want to conserve his arm, keep the innings pitched down in case they need to bring him up.
Smart move.
For the stretch run. Probably a pretty smart move.
Yeah, they kind of did this last year, too, with,
Lance, not with Lance.
No, the other pitcher.
No, the young
Shelby?
Yes.
Shelby
Miller?
Yes.
So this is not something new for...
Yeah, it's what they do.
Yeah.
Listen, this makes sense.
It was smart. It worked out great for
I was
them
just
when
going to
they
say,
did it.
this makes all the sense in the world. Rather than doing what the Nationals did, was it last year with Strasburg, where they cut him off right before the playoffs?
Year,
said, okay, he's done. Well, dopes, why didn't you do that during the season? If you had an innings limit, these guys normally would make around 5 starts a month, the way it works out. Make it so he only makes 4 starts a month, so you have a spot start 6 times during the year, and that way he's at 170 innings in September
and you can use him.
versus 200. It doesn't make any sense to say, okay, his season's over. Or start these guys' seasons later in the year. Your top pitching prospects like Garrett Cole or whoever it may be, start their season in May. Don't start it in March or April. Start it in May or June. I mean, something like that has to happen. You can't shut these guys down before the playoffs. It makes no sense.
Yeah, Dan Straley also sent down. You know, he's probably going to be back. Right now, they don't need a 5th starter, so...
he's been getting beat up pretty good the last couple outings.
You know, he's got a 5 ERA on the year, so, you know, should be back, but don't know what to expect. And we have Billy Hamilton.
Billy, don't be a hero.
Yeah, Billy not having a banner month down at Louisville. Batting just 229 in June, 16 for 70. Does have 15 steals. He's got 45 steals in 68 games, but he's only batting 243.
Yeah.
So you know, that's what's holding him down.
Can't use that speed if you're not on base, Billy.
He's rapidly falling into the D. Gordon category.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, if he does get called up and you need steals in a hurry.
That's true.
You know, if you're in a rotisserie league, he's a guy that can make a big difference in a big
agree.
way in a short amount of time.
Yes.
And then finally, Dylan Bundy. Very, very unfortunate situation there. Wound up having to have Tommy John, and you know, we're not going to see him for at least a year, which is a shame.
It's the way of the world now.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I got one more guy I want to throw out there for a waiver wire pickup. You don't hear too much about this guy because of where he plays, but Miguel Sano. We haven't really spoken about him at all on Code Red. Is it too soon to talk about him? He's 20 years old. All right,
For that team, he may, you know, they'll give him a shot.
I mean, right now, just a quick, he's 3 years in the minor leagues now. He's 17, 18, he's 20 years old, right? 17 he got there. 2011, 20 homers, 59 RBIs, and 260 at-bats. In 2012, last year, 28 homers, 100 RBIs, and 450 at-bats in A-ball. This year, 22 homers, 64 RBIs between Double-A and A-ball. He's hitting 330 in Double-A. I'm sorry, in Double-A, he hit 230. He's hitting 236 and 55 at-bats. But the power's there.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, they have Trevor Plouffe at third base. Not like he's, you know, setting the world on fire with his 5 homers and 20 RBIs. You know what? This guy's hit at every single level. Again, he's 20 years old. The team has no offense. Morneau's not hitting. All these guys, there's really no real big offensive force on the Twins right now.
Right.
Does it make sense right now to bring up Miguel Sano and put him at third base and run with him? You know?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you know, really, the only guy that's hitting in that entire lineup is probably Willingham. I mean, you know, Morneau hasn't done all that much. You know, Mauer is having a typical Mauer year, but yeah, give him a shot.
Where's the slugger? I mean, you know.
Shot.
Pickens,
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Keep
an eye on Sano. He's available in a lot of Yahoo leagues. He may get the call sometime down the line. Could be August or whatever. So.
Right. All right, let's move on to the injury update. The long-awaited, much-anticipated return of Derek Jeter may be right around the corner, folks. You excited about that, G?
At this point, we'll take anything we can get.
I've seen enough
Jason Nix to last me a lifetime.
God. You know, he's supposed to start rehab games this week, so we'll see what happens.
We get to see a familiar face back in that lineup.
Yep.
Yeah, and Chris Perez back. Although Pastano got the save last night.
I wouldn't dump Pastano just
I wouldn't
yet.
do that quite yet.
I would see how that pans out.
I'd see how this whole arrest situation winds up panning out too. So,
yeah, that's the other one.
You know, who knows what's going on with Perez right now. Tommy Hansen, if you care, is back on the DL with a forearm strain. Going to be out 3 weeks or so. He's a guy that just can't stay on the field. You know, can't stay on the field.
Tommy, stay there.
And you know what, Dan Harron,
Dan,
stay
you
there
stay
with
there
him.
too.
Yes.
I don't know what. I mean, obviously, it's it's time that they figured out what was wrong with Harron because you know the year he was having, there was obviously something wrong with him.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Velocity way down, walks up. I mean, just terrible.
And another guy, maybe they can have a little, you know, a little DL camp. You know, Pelfrey, Harron, Hansen. Let them all just go hang out together. You know, he's another guy that's can't stay on the field.
Yeah.
You know, here's a guy I'm excited about possibly coming back soon. Though is Everett Cabrera. He's going to be activated, I think, on Tuesday. And I've got him in a couple of leagues, and he's a stolen base machine. Also hitting a couple of home runs, and you know he's having a pretty good year. I'm in need of getting him back.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And hoping he's not getting suspended anytime soon. Bryce Harper should be activated on Monday.
Yeah, fine. The Nationals probably happy about that.
Nationals, me.
Yes, they've been stuttering along the way there.
Right.
Between that and the way Harron's pitching and other things going on.
Ryan Braun.
And this one is starting to scare me a little bit, only because it's a nerve damage type of thing to the thumb. Can't grip a bat, can't do this, can't do that. I mean, they haven't said surgery yet, but when they say no timetable and this and that, I don't know. You probably won't see him until sometime after the All-Star break at this stage of the game. So.
How did he hurt his thumb?
I have no idea.
Tulowitzki making progress, but he's still a few weeks away.
I said to Admiral last week, it wouldn't be a fantasy season without Tulowitzki on the DL.
He'll come back and go on it again. Don't worry.
And what roster is he on, folks?
Yours, of course. That's where players go to die, folks. They go
Yes,
to
they
the
go to
Admiral's
my-
roster.
this year they do.
That's where good players become crappy players.
You did get some back, but you put some on.
Yeah, I
You
know.
did, right?
It's, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. A.J. Burnett's still not all that close to coming back. Clay Buchholz had a setback in rehab. Now they're talking about mid-July at the earliest for him.
Yeah, they're talking about bringing up the kid they had at the beginning of the season. They brought up for a little bit. I forget
Alan
his
Webster?
name. Yes.
He's already
they
brought him up.
He's already
Oh,
up.
they
Did he pitch
Okay.
last night?
I think he did.
I think he did. I don't
Oh,
know.
he did. Sorry.
Yeah,
there you have
I
it.
don't know how he did. I didn't
He
catch
didn't
the,
fare
the
very
game.
well.
Didn't
Oh,
fare
no,
well?
no good.
I don't think so.
All right, so he got hammered, and as we said last time, he got hammered.
Went out and got hammered.
Went out and got hammered. David Price.
Amen.
Price threw 5 shutout innings at his last rehab start. Should be back this week.
He will be back. I just read before we went on the show that he will start Tuesday. So you will see David Price on Tuesday in the major leagues.
Oh, what David Price? Which David
The
Price?
better David Price, I think.
Yeah.
There is one guy we forgot to mention in the On the Farm segment. It's Kyle Gibson. So he's
starting
up.
today. He's pitching today. Yes.
Yeah.
Another one coming back from Tommy John surgery. He had, I guess in 2009.
Kyle Gibson.
So
That's a pickup right there.
Yeah.
If you have not already done so, take a flyer with him. The Twins need pitching. If he pitches well, he'll probably finish out the year with them.
Yeah.
he's well removed from the Tommy John surgery.
Yep.
So
And then Anibal Sanchez, about a week away. There will be a lot of people happy to get him back.
He's still a curious case here. I'm not really too sure where we're going with him, but coming back from the injury, you see, get a couple starts, see where he's at.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned Kyle Gibson, there's a guy pitching for the Nats today. Were you going to mention him too?
Oh,
No.
Jordan.
He's not part of our notes, but Taylor Jordan has been brought up, and he will pitch today. This guy's come out of nowhere. There are guys that come out of nowhere every now and then.
Yeah.
This guy has come out of nowhere. AA, 7-0. I think he's got a ridiculous .56 ERA.
Yeah.
Ridiculous whip. I don't think the Ks are outrageous, but hey, they're going to take a shot with the guy. So
why not, right?
You know.
Hey, one injury update. I'm surprised you didn't bring up. Corey Hart done for the year.
Yeah, your guy, your boy,
Yeah,
he's
man.
finished.
Corey's done?
He's
done.
My
Me.
heart is broken.
Your heart's broken.
He's probably still on his DL.
I didn't notice that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I thought for sure you were going to bring him up today.
And did we mention John Neese?
Why should we?
Rotator cuff
Oh, yes.
on the DL. Hopefully not going to have surgery, but again, probably not a big fantasy impact unless you own Neese, because that's they're going to wind up going with a 5-man rotation instead of the 6-man rotation that they had talked about doing. So not a big deal there, but a blow nonetheless. All right, fellas, anything else before we wrap it up?
That's it, I think.
I think that's it.
That's it? All right. Well, listen, thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you next week on Code Red. We'll have a big 4th of July segment for you, so tune in.
We'll revisit those All-Star ballots again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How we doing, San Francisco?
Yes.
How you doing, Marco Scutero?
How's that ballot stuffing going out there?
All right. We'll see you next week, folks.
Take care.